right, let's shift gears. Last season, when we're coming up on a week where there's not a whole lot that looks like, oh wow, can't wait for this game type of thing, and that kind of stuff ebbs and flows like everything else in life. But maybe there's some teams playing out there this week that we don't have them, written down as 3 or 4 rounds in the playoffs. But I tell you, China Spring about this time last year, lost at Salado in a good game. They lost against Connally in a good game. But they go into the playoffs with a couple of district losses. I think third or, I think they were the third place team, and they got to play Jasper in the first round. And that they got look like they got the short end of the stick on that one. And then they go to the regional final, and play Carthage just about as good a game as anybody played them in the playoffs last year. So what I want to know is, who is this year's China Spring, a team that's maybe had their bumps so far this year, but might make the run when it really counts?
To me, the team that comes to mind is la-vega. Obviously, the Pirates are coming off, I would say, maybe a humbling loss to Stephenville. They had a loss to Argyle earlier this year. But you're talking about, the number 1 and number 3 ranked teams in the state. They could still suffer potentially another loss. I mean, they go to Brownwood this week. But I think in 2 weeks is when they get Midlothian Heritage, another state ranked team that they'll face. That said, if la-vega goes in the playoffs with a couple of district losses, who's to say they couldn't put it all together? I feel like they're one of those teams that is capable on when they put it all together of beating just about anyone in the state.
Right.
And then against an overmatched opponent, they're probably gonna wallop them. So it would probably come down to matchups and everything. But China Spring went out last year, and I feel like they built confidence knowing they were coming out of a tough district. They were battle tested, and la-vega will come out of this district, whatever their record is, knowing that, hey, we can play with these teams. We just have to play well. Is this a vintage la-vega team that we've seen maybe in recent years? Probably not. I think obviously they had some pretty good guys in some of these other teams, including at quarterback. Had Willie's son there for a while, and he did a great job. And I'm not sure this la-vega team has all that many weapons that some of these state teams that la-vega had, but that's my answer. I mean, I feel like they could go in with 2 or 3 losses and still make a run.
My answer is kind of similar to that. The Cameron Yeoman, just kind of the exact same mold, one of the state powers. You got Rick Rhodes back there as their head coach again. And they lost their first 4 games against good competition. Then they just romped through the first 2 weeks of district. And then they had a setback last week against Academy. And Academy is a little bit out of our area. I think at one time we considered them an area team, and we don't sell papers there anymore. Don't sell as many papers, but they're going to be an interesting one to watch in the playoffs because they've won some legit games so far this year. They beat Cameron last week, but Cameron, if they're a third place team out of that district with Lorena and Academy, I don't want to be somebody playing them.
No,
I don't want to be a second place team playing them,
Right. Yeah, to me, this is where a tough district pays off. Because, back in the day when maybe 1 or 2 teams got into the playoffs, then, being in a tough district was not always your friend, because if you finish third, you're not going anywhere except basketball season.
Right.
nowadays, getting in as the third or fourth place team out of a really rugged district, all it does is mean that you've seen tough competition, so you're not going to be fazed by what you might see in the playoffs. Doesn't mean you're going to go all the way to state, but we have seen teams in the UIL playoffs before that have 4, even 5 losses that make deep runs into December.
It's true. It's rare, but it happens.
It does.